Hi, I'm Keap, and on the Conquer the Chaos podcast, I talk with inspiring business owners about what it takes to build a great business and a great life. That means more money, more time, more control, more impact, more freedom. So keep listening to hear the tough lessons they learned so you don't have to repeat them. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Conquer the Chaos podcast. I'm your host, Keap, author of Conquer the Chaos, and I've got a longtime friend here, partner that we've worked with for years in helping small businesses conquer the chaos and grow, and someone I'm very excited to share with you. So Sarah Watz is the co-founder of Business Heroes, and they help small businesses, especially service-based businesses, automate their processes, free up time, create much more profitable businesses by getting automation to do the work that it can do. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Sarah, thanks so much for being here. Great to have you with us.
Oh, it's awesome to be here. It's really good to talk to an old good friend.
So I have to tell everybody, Sarah's attended many of our conferences for partners and customers over the years. And every time she comes to the conference, she brings the most incredible European chocolate and gives me a huge bar. That is something I probably shouldn't eat, but I love it every time. So, Sarah, tell the audience a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what you're doing.
So let's talk about lead magnets, right? So that's my lead magnet, to have those kind of chocolate cakes that comes from Sweden. It's a door opening for a conversation. It's a way of saying thank you and bringing something to the table. So I love that. I really like that you enjoy it as well.
Well,
So
that's a great lead magnet. It has been very effective over the years. I will tell you that.
Oh, yes, I got LinkedIn connections like, hey, thank you for sharing that at the coffee table. I didn't have time talking to you, but let's talk on LinkedIn instead and get into a conversation. So we need to have lead magnets that in the physical world as well. It's not just on the digital online
It's a
space.
great
So,
point.
yeah.
So tell everybody a little bit where you're from, your business, what you do. That'd be great.
Okay, so I'm Sarah Watz. I'm from Stockholm, Sweden. I live outside on an island called Lidingö. And I started a digital agency like 96. So that's aging me.
Well,
But
you've been in a long time. If you
oh,
did
yes.
started in '96, you've seen it all.
Yes. So I have three businesses with my husband Peter, and I've been working full time in businesses since 2000. So it's been a good journey for 25 years. And
Okay,
we started with a digital agency, and that's when we worked with Joomla as our platform mostly for doing like websites and all those things. And then we
Juma, you're
discovered
taking me back.
yeah, exactly. And then we took a look at different email marketing to add to that platform, and we realized that we wanted something different. And we saw, I think, Infusionsoft in like 2006, but
Okay.
we were missing the automation view, the then called Campaign Builder.
Yeah.
When that came, I was like, I'm all for this. We're going to go into all our companies. We're doing that in 2011, I think. 2012, I went to the UK for like Infusionsoft University, and 2014, I just decided to be a partner because like this is awesome to
Yeah.
be able to do all those things visually. Yeah, that was a game changer for most of our clients.
Yeah. Well, awesome. You've been a great partner over the years. I've talked to a lot of customers that you've served and heard, great reviews about what you do. And yeah, you're taking me back to those days, over a decade ago of introducing Campaign Builder. And today they would call that, an agent builder, it's because it really just is,
Exactly.
it's just building automation, building agents that do the work for you. That's what Campaign Builder was back then, and as it evolved over the years, became more and more powerful in all the different ways that it can automate and essentially put agents to work for you. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we'll talk a little bit about automation and AI and how you see that and how your companies, your clients use that. But let's just start. When you think about automation, what is the point for you? When you work with your clients and you're helping them understand, hey, here's what automation can do for you. How do you help them see the opportunity?
Well, nowadays, since 2019, I am mainly a business coach or a mentor, and I have like the Business Heroes Academy where our members comes in. And mostly they come in because they are service providers in the mix of digital and physical delivery. So they have in-person session like a chiropractor, and they do some like things online as well. So they have this in-between mix of delivery, and most of them are working ad hoc. They are not really streamlining their even their delivery. They are usually awesome at doing the delivery, but there is like, oh, I'm doing this way, and now I'm doing this way, and there is no way to get that streamlined and get that peace that you get when you actually have a structure.
Yeah.
So when I talk about automation, I talk about, okay, let's look at what you do on a daily basis. Let's start with the delivery. And you say, okay, let's look at all the different steps you do to take a customer from A to B
Hmm.
in the delivery phase. And where do you actually miss points? Where should
Yeah.
you add things? Is it should be like maybe a semi-automatic thing, just a reminder to you to connect with the client again. Or
Yeah.
it could be a text message saying, hey, show up to this session. Or it could be all these easy small things that they can start with. And now they are like, oh, this is amazing. This is freeing up so much of my schedule is more clear. I do not have to chase my clients anymore to reschedule because the system can help me with that. And now they are looking into, okay, I'm leaning in. What can I do more? I
Yeah.
am going to free up more space in my delivery. And when that's up and running, we look at, okay, how can we get referrals from that delivery?
Hmm.
And how can we send them like a message afterwards for that?
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. You said something right at the beginning that I think is really, it's really key to how the chaos happens when you've got part of your business online and part of your business in person. And so, especially if you are a service business, that tends to be the case. You've got certain parts of your workflows that are handled in person or handled through that face to face, and then you got other aspects of it that are happening online, and trying to bring those things together in a clear customer journey becomes difficult. So, you talked about getting them to focus on the delivery part, and then saying, okay, well, where are the holes, where are the gaps, and how can we fill those in so that the follow up happens automatically. And um, we say, you want to take your standard operating procedures and turn them into standard automated procedures, but a lot of times they don't have standard operating procedures. so,
Well,
so,
that's the
so
key. You have to make a documentation what you do. And when I had the agency, I had them all having a different screen just in front of them and saying, okay, let's just have one Google Doc where you just map out what you do every single day in everything you do for your clients. And then we can get screenshots in there. We can do all these things so it's mapped out for anyone to step into your role if you are not here.
yeah, and I
And
think
then,
that
yeah.
getting them to do that is a trick though. So how, because let me give a little background here. I think this will resonate with some of our listeners. Um, we want the benefits of automation, but doing the documentation so you can get a process that you can automate is not usually high on the list of priorities or preferences for entrepreneurs. They're especially, the ones that are most entrepreneurs are going fast, a little bit ADHD, takes one to know one, by the way, and sitting down, buckling down, and like laying out the process and just thinking through it is not, very appealing. So how do you work with your clients so that they want to do that work, or they're willing to do that work that's required to get an SOP so you can turn it into an SAP?
So I would say that when I've done it with key people inside of the business, and like some people from marketing, some people from sales, some people from delivery, uh, mostly of the time they never spoke to each other about things. And
Yeah,
that's a big aha when they is like, oh, in marketing you say this, and then in sales you say this, but I am on like the customer end and I get all the requests of things that you like said would be there. And they're like,
yeah,
Aren't there?" So
yeah,
it's like when they get this aha, okay, we have some things to do, and this is why we have chaos. This is why we have people not being happy in our company, either the employees or the clients.
yeah,
So now they are more inclined to actually say, okay, let's do the work. I know my things best that I do. Let me just have today you can just put up your phone and just record what you say. Say, hey, I do this, I log in this, and here's where I find my login information, and then I do this and this. And then you can then put that into AI and it documents everything for you. So you don't
Yeah.
have to sit there and do that, what they did in my team for like 15 years ago. So
Okay, so a couple points of what you said there that I want to just touch on. The first one is if you've got a team and you've got multiple people that are doing this, then it's about bringing them together. And by the way, a lot of times they do see the benefits of it because they know where the drop balls are happening and where the employee frustrations and customer frustrations occur. Um, so I can totally see that part of it. What about in the situation? We've got some listeners that are like, well, I am sales and I am marketing and I am delivery. I
all the
do all this
hats.
stuff. So I'm wearing all the hats, as we
Yeah.
say. Um, how do you help that person? And maybe you don't. Maybe you only work with companies that have a few employees at this point. But do you ever work with a solopreneur where you're trying to help them, peel off the hats that they're wearing and recognize the process that needs to be followed?
I would say that most of my clients in the beginning are solo entrepreneurs. They are the company of
Okay.
one. They have been in business for maybe 2 or 3 years, so they know that they want to be in business and they know they
Yeah.
want to serve the clients, but they haven't figured out how to do business, even
And,
if they
and
are
they know
all.
that there are balls that are dropping. That's the key.
Yes, they know.
A lot
Yeah.
of times when you're a very early solopreneur, you don't have enough customers and enough things going on to start to feel the pain of what happens when things start getting dropped, when the follow-up doesn't happen, when the handoffs don't occur properly. You haven't seen that yet. And so you just don't have enough of a problem to solve yet. But once you get to the point where you've been in business for 2 or 3 years, maybe even once 6 months or a year, but even a solopreneur that's been going for a little while starts to feel the pain. They start to feel the drops, and so I think you just laid a key point there. It's when you've been doing this for a while, you start seeing the drops, you start feeling the pain, you realize I got to fix this. This is not working well for the client and it's driving me crazy, and so when you get to that point, the second thing that you said, which I love, is well, it doesn't have to be a labor-intensive process to document. Especially today, you can literally record it, have put that into ChatGPT, any number of AI tools, and have the documentation created for you. So that's a great point and a big time saver in the what I see as a lot of times the obstacle for people even getting going on automation is they've got to do a little bit of work on documentation, but now that's a lot easier.
Oh yes. Like you can do this if you do, like we say, like do common questions that people have.
Yeah, FAQs.
FAQs. Okay, so you know that you get them, you respond to them on the emails, it takes forever, and you, yes, oh, I responded to this before. So it's easy now. You can connect ChatGPT to like Gmail or Outlook and you say, hey, can you find all the emails where they have questions about my service and collaborate them into one document and give me some like ideas of how I can respond to them. Now you can put that information on the landing page. Now you can put that into emails that sends out if someone is asking for something and clicking on a link and getting a follow-up response. So
Yeah.
it's so much easier. And when I had the agency before, someone was actually a business owner and he didn't have time doing the marketing. So we did it for him. But we then said, okay, you don't have time even writing this. And so what what we did was asked him after all the conversation he had with clients, because he was out there visiting clients. He picked up his phone and said, hey, I got these kind of questions this time, and this is what I responded to it. And he was on in his car, like in between meetings, 15 minutes, and he was just blabbing into his phone, sent that audio file to us, and we were writing emails and we were writing social media posts based on that.
Great.
But today, we don't have to have that middle person anymore. We can actually make it happen ourselves.
Yeah, that's a great illustration of how you could do it previously with help. Now you can do it with AI. You
Yeah.
record it, you're capturing the process. You're going through the process of getting things out of your head. And you can do it audio, you can see what you've sent in emails. I mean, two great examples. Look at all the emails, put those into ChatGPT, into AI, do voice recordings, put those into AI, and now have it create your FAQs, have it create your content, have it, your email copy. I mean, it's so much easier now. And then to create SOPs for you, so that you can then automate it. That's what we want to get to.
Exactly. So when we then say, okay, now I know this is my process. I spoke it in on like on my dog walk. I took a thought of, okay, this is what I do in this stage. And you talk to the phone and you have that information. It actually has all your words, all your things. It's your message. It's just that someone else is actually making sure it's packaged in a different way. And then you can
Right.
say, what can I do different that actually is going to make me a better person in my niche? How can I
Yeah.
be clearer in this? What steps do I do not see? If I'm alone in my business, I don't have accountability partners, I don't have a business coach maybe, then I can ask ChatGPT and say, hey, I need your help. How can I make this better? How can I make the experience smoother? What steps am I missing that I can automate and digitalize?
Love it. Okay, so let's talk specifics. You're working with clients, um, service businesses, or most of our listeners, and let's say you start working with a client. What are you helping them to automate commonly? Give us some of the examples of things you automate, some of the things that our listeners are doing manually that they should be automating.
I think that the first thing I do is, since most of them are meeting clients, we set up calendars for them to have different online calendars for different reasons. So they really know who booked what in different like stages of the customer journey. So
Yeah.
if someone is, yes, they're having on a like a discovery call, okay, that's that time limit. Here's what they need to do before. So I talk to them and say, okay, if you have a like a discovery call, what kind of questions do you ask? What would be even easier to ask before the call, so you can be really in tune into that conversation and make that not 30 minutes, but 15 minutes. So you
Hmm.
making sure that you're using your time the best. And okay, when you have that conversation, what kind of follow-up would be the common things? Would it be, yes, I'm interested, or I am not interested, or maybe I want to wait for that decision because I have to talk to someone else? Okay, so how do you follow up today? And we go into their mailbox boxes or to their text messages, and we make sure that they are now inside of the automation instead. And now it frees them up time, and they can anticipate what kind of conversation would I have, and they can be the best person at the conversation. So that's
Okay, so
the first one.
so the first one is in the calendaring and the follow-up process, particularly in having that discovery call. For most service businesses, a discovery call, is that generic term of how you're beginning to engage with the client before you've brought them on as a client, and and how that discovery call goes and whether it goes in the first place is crucial to growing the business. And so there's a lot of leakage in businesses where the discovery call doesn't get booked, doesn't the person doesn't show up. When the call occurs, there are key things that are missing in the information that's needed, so you can make that a great discovery call with a high close rate. All of the things that I heard you just describe are things I've watched in service businesses where it literally is the difference between the business working and not working. If you can get the conversion right from the point that someone raises their hand with interest to the point that they are having a successful discovery call. So what you're describing is kind of the whole pre-sales process for service businesses. And what are the mistakes you see that people make in let's talk about just that aspect of the customer journey. What are mistakes that people are making that you see and that kind of jump out at you, someone who's worked with businesses for 30 years doing this kind of work?
So the easiest thing is follow up and reminders in that sense when we're looking into that particular stage, because they do, maybe they say, hey, you booked a call, and there's no reminder until the call is actually done.
Hmm.
So you have to keep them excited if it's a week out, or if it's 2 weeks out because you're more fully booked.
And
Like
how do
they
you
need
keep
to
them
be
excited? Because
excited.
yeah, so let's talk about that for just a second. Because yeah, the bunch of people are like, yeah, I know I got to have reminders, and yep, and some might do that. But it's one thing to have a prospect raise their hand and remind them they got a discovery call. It's another thing to be preparing them and getting them excited for the call so that they're coming to the call predisposed to hear your message. How do you do that?
Well, I really try to paint out the picture of who they will become after they actually consume the service.
Mm, it's a great way
So
to say
they,
it.
we
Who will they become
really
after they consume the service? paint that picture to get them excited on the way to the discovery call.
Yeah. And since we, in Business Heroes at least, we try to illustrate the delivery journey, the delivery experience of the client when they say yes until they are actually having the result that we promised.
Yeah.
Where the check-ins are, what the calls are, when we do things, when we need to have feedback on things we do, when we have in-office hours, whatever it is. And then we have all these delivery elements that we can pull from that and put that into those reminders and say, hey, do you know what? Most clients, that I just talked to someone who is in that delivery thing, and in that element, in that stage, they said this.
Yeah.
So now we're not talking as a generic testimonials, talking about it. It's really when you are in this journey, when I came to this, I got this micro transformation. It's changed me really inside of the journey. I'm not even done yet. All those things makes it so interesting for the people not to cancel, not to reschedule the call, because we want to keep them excited, even if we don't have time talking to them in an hour.
Yeah, this is such a big deal. Sometimes people will call this an indoctrination series, where you are getting the prospect excited about the opportunity to meet with you as an expert, instead of allowing them to have it positioned in their mind that they've got an appointment with you.
Yeah.
Appointments get dropped, appointments get missed, appointments don't get handled well. But when you're positioned as an expert, and as Sarah, you're describing, you pull content from the delivery experience and the wins and the exciting transformational things that occur for clients. You pull that content into the indoctrination process from the point the person raises their hand to the point that they are going to meet with you in discovery. I want to just convey to our audience, this is where the gold is in the lead to sale process. And if you'll this is what very good marketers know and understand, that everyday service businesses miss and step over all the time, because we think about just the technical spots in the journey, not the emotional journey we're taking them through to get them excited about meeting with you as the expert. So I love what you called out there. You're taking points from the delivery, pulling them forward, getting them into an automated follow-up sequence, so that not only it's not just, hey, reminding, it's reminding and exciting. It's not just following up, it's following up and exciting. It's positioning the service provider as an expert that the prospect gets to meet with, instead of having it be like, oh, I've got an appointment with sales or something like that. Like that's not how we get great conversion in our discovery or in our show up rate for discovery calls. So
and
I
if
love
I want to point out to you, Clay, that most service providers that are a business of one, they don't have a sales position that's going to take care of the sales. They
Right.
are the person who's actually going to be part of delivering together with the client the results that they are looking for. So
Right.
we want to keep them excited. We want to service them, and we are curious about them. What do we need to know to actually make sure that we can wow them in the end? And we can also filter out those people that are not our clients. So we don't have to have time in our calendar that is not going to be a client of us. It's just taking a time spot that could be done for something else.
Okay,
But I think,
I love that. Go ahead, Sarah.
no, I'm just saying that that's why I started to say, hey, we need to map out the delivery first. Make sure
Yeah.
that that's super clear. Make sure that that works. We can bring it into sales. So it's really so simple for them to see all the things that they're going to go through. We can pick and choose different elements and use as a smorgasbord for them to see, oh, that's going to be something that I'm going to go through, and I'm going to become this person. And then we can use it even in the marketing, in social media. We can use almost the same things. It's just repackaged into reels or carousels or anything else.
Love it. Great stuff. Okay, so I love the automation to improve the show up rate on the discovery call. Now, the discovery call goes a certain way, getting this offer right so that you're presenting the client with the appropriate options to engage with your business as the service provider. Let's talk about that, because it's one thing to get people to show up, and there's a huge amount of waste that occurs for service businesses from prospect to show up at the discovery. In the discovery, this is where there's another big lost opportunity that occurs. And I want to talk through this, and it's probably a little less about automation, But since the whole point of automation is to get us to sale, there's this piece in the discovery call. And I know in your book you talk about the offer ladder. And I want to talk a little bit about this because we want to make it easy and natural for that, as service providers, we want to make it easy and natural for that prospect to go, yeah, let's do this. Let's work together. So talk a little bit about the concept of offer ladder and how you use that effectively to improve close rates on the discovery call.
Yeah, I would say that when you have the discovery call, you should have a really good agenda because you have to have a strategy of how you convert a client from being on the call and accepting that and putting time into their calendar to meet with you as an expert and make sure that you are in 15 minutes actually getting out of that conversation. They feel like they already got some micro transformation in that call. So I usually look at the offer ladder like, okay, what do we do to actually get the people into our world, onto our email list, for example? Okay, so maybe we have a free webinar, or we have a lead magnetic form of a PDF or a guide, or nowadays it's really common to have an AI bot or something that they can do some easy things with, so get some micro results for free.
Yeah. So let me make sure I understand. Your offer ladder, what you're describing is your offer ladder actually starts early in the journey just to get them on the list, and then there's progressive steps in your ladder that culminate with them buying and closing with you.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people misunderstand sometimes what we have to have huge funnels and they have to be 52 weeks long. And no, people come to you because they have a problem. If you're a chiropractor and they call you, they need help now or within a few days. That's it. So we're not going to say, hey, you have to learn all these things about us before. No, let's get them on a call. Yes, make sure that they are a good fit for us. Get them into our booking system. Okay, so now we have those people in our call. So we have some strategic questions that qualify them for different kind of services and different kind of packages. And if we have that illustration, we can say, okay, this is the thing that we do if you are at this point and you want to go to this point. Don't try to over deliver to our clients and try to solve all their problems. Try to do the service packages small enough for them to say, oh, I can say yes to this. This is not a lifetime commitment to get the result. And then you add another service afterwards, say, hey, did you like what we did? Now we can take you to the next step because now you're ready for that. Yeah. You were not ready before.
So you're taking it into bite-sized pieces that makes it easy for them to say yes. Can you give us an example of that? Maybe somebody you've worked with where they maybe take that chiropractor example or another where you can create kind of a bite-sized service or options that would be helpful for our audience.
So I can take one example from ourselves. So we have the free guide where you can map out your business. It's called the Business Heroes Grid. It's one pager. People download it.
It's called the Business Heroes what?
Grid.
Grid. Okay.
Yeah, the Business Heroes Grid. It's one map. You map out the customer journey. You map out all the things you do to support that customer journey, and what you can then make sure that you can automate and everything else. But you have a big overview on one page. We give it away for free. We just want everyone to get it because they get a really good insight. They can see the gaps. They can work on their own, or in that space where they download this, I'm asking them to say, hey, do you want to have my guidance doing this? Mm-hmm. You don't have to do it yourself. Yeah. So then I have an offer for them to say, okay, I want to go through Sarah's mini training. It's just 1 hour or 45 minutes on video, going through a stage where I do exactly the same thing for another company. And they can walk through that workbook, which is 50 pages. It seems long, but it's really detailed if you want to. But if you don't want to do it yourself, you can have the ChatGPT that we built help you fill it in and ask you to be more clarified and ask you to do even more. You get to know your client, get to know their customer journey, so you can ask the bot and say, hey, what should I do to actually help them? Yeah. Yeah. So it's a mix of a hybrid delivery program that they go through. It's super slim in pricing, so they don't have to pay too much. And it's just for them to get a taste of what it is to be in our world. If they like it and they saw everything that they want to do, they need to have accountability. So we create problems for each solution. So when they have the overview, I need to do this is interesting. I need to know more. And when they got the information that they know, they get interested and I need help doing that because I'm not going to make sure that I'm accountable to do that. I'm totally into my delivery with my clients. I'm not into spending time on building my business, so I need to have some accountability, and that's when they move into our Business Heroes Academy. But most people are not ready for the Business Heroes Academy to start with if they haven't had that clarity before from
Okay.
someone else.
So there was a lot of really good stuff you took us through there. And first of all, Business Heroes Grid sounds great. There's probably a lot of people like, hey, I'd be interested in that. We'll get to that in a minute. But you said something really interesting. You said we create problems for the next solution. And that's a really interesting way for service provider to think about it, because we're in the business of creating solutions. We don't often think that if we're going to take them through a ladder of progression and getting them more and more involved into our business and the ultimate solutions we can provide, or maybe ultimate's the wrong way to say it, but all of the solutions we can provide. We can't just give them all of the solution right at once. It's too much for them to consume in most cases. They have to see a little problem and solve it, and solve it with part of our solution. But in the solution, there's a little bit more, a new problem that's revealed, because like you said, you're creating problems and solving them in kind of a progressive fashion, and ultimately able to deliver the entire solution or all the services that you offer. I think if service providers stop and think about it, they're probably either reacting to the problem and providing a finite solution, or they're trying to give the entire solution that they offer. And in both cases, in the reaction, you're missing more of what the customer could consume for you, and that's a problem. And in the case where you're trying to give them the whole solution, a lot of times they're not ready for that. And so what I'm hearing you say, and I think it's brilliant, is you break down your solution into smaller pieces where there's a solution that solves a problem, but that solution also reveals the next problem. And then you have a solution for that to solve that problem. And then it reveals the next problem, and so forth. And I think that, as I've watched successful service businesses through what's often called an ascension model or a progressive customer journey, they're doing just that. They're delivering a piece of solution and revealing the next problem. And the client can decide if they want to take that on or not. But it gets them out of that place of having poor close rates or poor revenue because they're only solving a piece of the problem without revealing the rest of the issues that can be solved, or they are offering the whole enchilada when the customer is not ready for it.
And I think that when I'm in a sales conversation, I usually lead with my signature program, the Business Heroes Academy. And I say, most people are not ready for that yet.
Mm-hmm.
If you are not, let's figure that out if you are, because you could have had so much experience and you're ready for it. That's fine. Like, you are welcome. But
Yeah.
but I lead with the highest offer first. And then I go to and say, hey, if you're not ready for it, I broke out things from the academy that you can buy on the side as a standalone, just to get a taste for it. Because I think that if you got that thing, you are going to be so much better than you are, but you're not going to spend the money and the time yet. But when you have done the work here, you are ready to come in. And then they feel like, oh, I'm not ready. You don't want me. And they get hungry to actually showcase that I'm going to do the work inside of the first program. Then I'm going to be ready to come into this. And they are fast action doers to make sure that they are ready. Because they don't want to miss out. So don't try to give them the easy solution first if you feel like they are ready for the first one, and tease the biggest one first and say, this is what I have, but most people are not ready for it. You might not be, but maybe you are. Let's figure out. And then there's no, everything is good. It's not like you are not good enough.
Man,
it's just that
so
I don't want people to come into a program where they don't spend the time, they don't have the money.
Right.
I want them to be really ready and make sure that they are. If they are not, make sure that break out something that makes it easy for them to get started in a simpler way.
There's so much goodness in terms of the psychology of sales and customer success that you just laid out there. You lead with the higher offer. That does a few things. It qualifies people up who are ready for it. It enables you to filter out the people who aren't ready. It enables you to grab quick business for the ones that see it, instead of requiring them to go all the way through the journey if they're ready for that. And it like you said, it causes people to kind of sit up straight and be like, no, I'm ready for this. Like, I want to do this. So, but the other thing is, in terms of customer success, by the way, the other thing there that people need to make sure that they're catching is you're practicing a principle called price desensitization, where you are able to downsell them to something that fits for them better after them seeing a bigger price tag. There's a lot of studies out there on this, but it's an important technique to use because people will go, oh wait, well I'm not ready for that, but this feels better to me. And if that's what's better for them, great. Other people will be like, no, I'm ready for this. So it's going to improve your close rates for that reason, as well as the qualifying aspect of it. But also the customer success aspect is you're getting people to do the things you need them to do. How many people on this, are listening to this going, yeah, well, I wish I could get my client to comply and do the things I need them to do to be successful. When you qualify them in the way you're describing, they are sitting up a little straighter. They're taking on the part they're supposed to do. They recognize, okay, well, I'm in the big program here. I got to really show up. Or you're teaching them and training them in the smaller program to get them ready for it. And either way, it leads to greater customer success, greater fulfillment and satisfaction for you as a service provider.
And I will add to, when we break something out from the Business Heroes Academy, we make some reward, like gamification. So if they go through that mini course within a few days and do the assignment, which is just reporting what kind of takeaway did you get from all the short videos that are in there, they get a reward video training that's from the Academy as well. So then we can really filter out who is actionable, like action takers, who are just buyers who's never going to log in. And since like most online courses have a completion rate of 5-10% at best, we want to make sure that we can get them through it so they get the result, the micro result that we want from that micro training, so they're ready to actually come in. Otherwise, they will be on our list forever because they don't get a result and they felt like, oh, it didn't work for me. Well, they didn't do the work themselves. So let's make sure that they do.
Right. It works the system works if you work the system, right?
Exactly.
So there were other things that I wanted to get into, but we talked a lot about the marketing and sales process and frankly, the way that service businesses can grow their revenue. And so I'm glad we spent the time on what we did. But for people who want to know more about you or like to maybe, get that Business Heroes grid, where can they learn more about you?
So our website is businessheroes.io. And I am Sarah Watz on LinkedIn, so it's the best way of connecting with me. I have a newsletter there as well, so you can see how you can grow your business. And I will send you the link to the grid, so you can put that into the show notes.
Okay, we will do that. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for talking automation with us, making AI practical and actionable for people, and the way you talked about that with both voice and using emails and collecting. You're creating content as well as creating SOPs using AI so that you can then automate them. Thank you for being an amazing partner and using that campaign builder, also known as an agent builder for all these years. And I'm excited to see what you continue to do to help small businesses succeed and to help your clients grow. And thanks for sharing some of your wisdom with us today.
And thank you, Clay, for creating such an amazing book and also for taking care of me and being a really, really good host when I've been visiting in the U.S. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks so much, Sarah. And thanks, everybody, for tuning into this episode of Conquer the Chaos podcast. If you are not practicing automation, if you're not laying out your processes, if you know that there's more you can and should be doing, Sarah is a great resource. Check out the Business Heroes grid and check out what she's doing. But make sure whatever it is that as you're listening, you're like, okay, I want to put something in place in automation. Because as soon as you get a little taste of that time savings and somebody doing things for you, what you would be doing yourself, you'll get hooked and you want to do more and more. And automation, one of the great keys to success for entrepreneurs as we lay out and conquer the chaos. Thanks again, everybody, for being here. Thanks, Sarah, for joining me. Until the next episode, everybody get out there, conquer the chaos, and grow your business. Thanks so much for listening. Subscribe right here on YouTube or in your favorite podcast app to make sure that you don't miss a single episode of the Conquer the Chaos podcast. And hey, if you like this episode, let's get this out to more entrepreneurs. We all know that it is not easy to grow a great business and a great life. And so let's get this message out to others. Make sure that you hit the like button, that you comment, and that you share it with others so that we can help other entrepreneurs build a great business and a great life as they conquer the chaos. Keep going, keep serving, and keep growing.